What if I told you the biggest reason your fat loss has stalled isn't because you're eating too much, not because you lack discipline, but because of a hidden carb silently spiking your insulin every single day? And the worst part, you probably think it's healthy. This is exactly where most people go wrong. Because fat loss is not just about calories, it's about hormones. And the hormone controlling your ability to burn fat is insulin. When insulin is high, your body is in fat storage mode. When insulin is low, your body shifts into fat burning mode. So if you're doing keto or low carb or even intermittent fasting, but your insulin is still elevated, you will feel stuck, frustrated, and exhausted. Now, here's the hidden problem. What if the very thing you sip every morning, the thing you trust, the thing you've been told is healthy, is quietly sabotaging your body's ability to burn fat? Not in a loud, obvious way, but silently, repeatedly, biologically. Because the most dangerous carbs are not always the ones you chew, they're the ones you drink. Liquid carbs, they look harmless. A glass of orange juice, a post workout smoothie, a protein shake with a healthy label. But inside your body, something very different is happening. The moment that liquid hits your system, it bypasses one of the most critical defenses your metabolism has: fiber. When you eat whole foods, your body slows things down. Fiber acts like a brake pedal. It controls how quickly glucose enters your bloodstream. But when you drink those same calories, that brake is gone. Now the sugar floods your bloodstream at high speed, and your body reacts instantly. Your blood sugar spikes. And then comes the hormone that decides your fat loss fate: insulin. Insulin doesn't negotiate. It doesn't care about your goals, your diet plan, or how hard you worked out. Its job is simple: remove sugar from your blood, and it does that by storing it. First as glycogen, and when that storage is full, as fat. In that moment, your body switches modes. Fat burning shuts off. Fat storage turns on. This isn't a theory. It's basic human physiology. Research consistently shows that liquid carbohydrates produce a higher and faster glycemic response than solid food. That means bigger insulin spikes. And every spike sends the same message to your body: store energy, do not burn fat. Now imagine this happening not once, but every single day. Morning juice, midday smoothie, evening healthy drink. Each one stacking insulin higher and higher, keeping your body locked in fat storage mode. And here's where it gets even more dangerous. Liquid calories don't satisfy you. Your brain doesn't register them the same way it registers solid food. You can drink 300, 500, even 800 calories and still feel hungry shortly after. Why? Because there's no chewing, no mechanical digestion, no prolonged satiety signals. So your body gets flooded with energy, but your brain still thinks you're starving. And that leads to overeating. This is why people who drink their calories often consume more total calories throughout the day without even realizing it. And then comes the crash. After that insulin spike, your blood sugar drops rapidly. Energy falls, focus disappears, cravings hit. Suddenly, you need more sugar, more food, more fuel, but it's not real hunger. It's a hormonal roller coaster created by what you drank. And this cycle repeats: spike, crash, crave, repeat, day after day, week after week, year after year, until one day you look in the mirror and wonder, why isn't the fat coming off? Why do I feel tired all the time? Why am I always hungry? The answer isn't just what you're eating, it's what you're drinking, because liquid carbs don't just add calories, they amplify insulin, and insulin is the gatekeeper of fat loss. As long as insulin is elevated, your body cannot efficiently access stored fat. That fat is locked away, unavailable, untouchable. Even if you're eating less, even if you're exercising more, your body is simply following hormonal commands. And the command it keeps receiving is: do not burn fat. This is why two people can eat the same number of calories, but get completely different results. One drinks their carbs, the other eats whole foods. One spikes insulin repeatedly, the other keeps it stable. And over time, that difference becomes visible, not just on the scale, but in energy, hunger, and metabolic health, because this isn't just about fat loss. Frequent insulin spikes are linked to insulin resistance, a condition where your body stops responding properly to insulin, and that's when things escalate. Fat gain accelerates, energy crashes deepen, and the risk of serious conditions like type 2 diabetes begins to rise. All from something as simple as what you drink. Let that sink in. A habit that takes seconds can shape your metabolism for years. But here's the part most people never hear. This isn't about cutting everything you enjoy. It's about understanding how your body works. Because once you see what liquid carbs are really doing inside you, you can't unsee it. And once you remove them, everything starts to change. Your energy stabilizes, your hunger drops, your cravings fade, and your body finally gets the signal it's been waiting for, to burn fat, not store it. So the next time you reach for that drink, pause for a moment, ask yourself, is this helping my body access fat, or is it silently keeping me stuck? Because sometimes the smallest choices carry the biggest consequences, and the difference between staying stuck and finally breaking through might be sitting right there in your glass. They told you it was healthy. They told you it was clean. They told you this is what weight loss looks like: a colorful smoothie in your hand, a yogurt labeled low fat, a protein shake promising transformation. But what if the very foods you trust the most are the ones keeping you trapped? Because the biggest fat loss trap isn't junk food. It's healthy food that quietly works against your biology. It starts with a belief. If it's natural, it must be good. If it's low fat, it must help you lose weight. If it's sold as fitness friendly, it must support your goals. But your body doesn't read labels. Your metabolism doesn't care about marketing. It responds to chemistry. And the chemistry inside many of these healthy foods is far more damaging than you think. Take fruit juice. It sounds pure, fresh, full of vitamins. But what's left after processing isn't the fruit your body was designed to handle. It's sugar, concentrated, fast absorbing, and stripped of the fiber that once protected you. A single glass can contain as much sugar as soda, and your body reacts the same way. Blood sugar spikes, insulin surges, fat burning shuts down. Now multiply that by smoothies. Bananas, mangoes, honey, oats, milk, blended into one drink, it looks nourishing. But metabolically, it's a glucose overload because you're not just consuming carbs, you're stacking them, layer upon layer, each ingredient adding another wave of sugar into your bloodstream. And when those waves hit all at once, your body has no choice. It stores, not because you failed, but because it's doing exactly what it was designed to do: protect you from excess energy by turning it into fat. And here's the part no one warns you about. You can drink hundreds of calories in minutes and still feel hungry, because liquid calories don't trigger the same satiety signals as solid food. There's less chewing, less digestion time, less hormonal feedback to your brain. So while your body is flooded with energy, your brain still thinks you need more. This is why people who rely on smoothies and shakes often end up eating more throughout the day, not less. Now let's talk about flavored yogurts, marketed as gut-friendly, labeled as high protein, but hidden inside added sugars, fruit concentrates, syrups designed to make it taste better. What you think is a health food becomes a dessert in disguise, and every spoonful pushes insulin higher, keeping your body locked in fat storage mode. Even protein shakes, something many people depend on, can become a trap, because not all protein shakes are created equal. Some are loaded with sugar. Others contain artificial sweeteners that may still trigger an insulin response in certain individuals. And when insulin rises, the message is always the same: store energy. Do not burn fat. Now imagine this happening multiple times a day. A smoothie in the morning, a yogurt as a snack, a protein shake after your workout, each one reinforcing the same hormonal signal. And you wonder why the scale won't move, why your energy crashes, why your cravings never stop. because it's not just about what you're eating, it's about what those foods are doing inside your body. Every spike in blood sugar creates a ripple effect. Insulin rises to bring it down, then blood sugar drops. And when it drops too fast, your brain perceives it as a threat. So it demands more food, more sugar, more energy. This is not a lack of willpower, it's a biological response, a survival mechanism triggered by unstable blood sugar. And over time, this cycle becomes your normal. You wake up tired, you rely on quick energy, you crash, you crave, you repeat until your metabolism starts to break down, until your cells stop responding to insulin the way they should. This is where insulin resistance begins. A condition where your body produces more and more insulin just to manage the same amount of sugar. And as insulin stays elevated, fat loss becomes nearly impossible because insulin is the gatekeeper. When it's high, fat is locked away. When it's low, fat becomes fuel, and the foods you thought were helping you are keeping that gate closed. This is how the trap works. It doesn't feel dangerous, it feels normal, it feels healthy. That's what makes it so powerful, because you don't question it, you trust it, you repeat it, and slowly, silently, it reshapes your metabolism. But here's the truth, your body was never designed for constant sugar exposure, even from natural sources. It was designed for balance, for whole foods, for signals that match your biology, not confuse it. And the moment you remove these hidden sugar sources, everything begins to shift. Hunger starts to fade, energy becomes stable, cravings lose their grip. Because your blood sugar is no longer on a roller coaster, your hormones begin to reset, and your body finally gets a clear signal: burn fat, not store it. This is where real transformation begins, not with extreme diets, not with endless restriction, but with awareness, with understanding what's truly helping you and what's quietly holding you back. So the next time you see a label that says healthy, look deeper, because the real question isn't what it claims to be. The real question is, what is it doing to your insulin? Because that answer changes everything. You've been told your entire life that fat loss is about eating less and moving more. Count your calories. Burn more than you consume. Stay consistent. And if it's not working, try harder. But what if the real reason you're not losing fat has nothing to do with effort? What if the problem isn't your discipline, but your hormones? Because deep inside your body, there is a silent controller that decides whether you burn fat or store it. And its name is insulin. Every time you eat, insulin responds. It rises to manage the energy entering your bloodstream. But insulin doesn't just regulate blood sugar, it controls access to your body's fat stores. When insulin is high, your body is locked in storage mode. Fat is preserved, protected, untouchable. When insulin is low, your body unlocks those fat stores. It begins to burn fat for fuel. This is the switch that changes everything. And most people never realize it exists because they're focused on calories, while their hormones are quietly working against them. Here's the science. Insulin is an anabolic hormone. Its job is to store energy. It takes glucose from your blood and moves it into your cells. But when there's more energy than your body needs, insulin converts that excess into fat and stores it, not temporarily, but often permanently. Now imagine this happening multiple times a day. Breakfast spikes insulin. Snacks spike it again. Lunch pushes it higher. Another snack, then dinner. Then something sweet at night. Your body never gets a break. Insulin stays elevated. And as long as insulin is elevated, fat burning is suppressed. This is not a small effect. This is a complete metabolic shift because your body can't burn fat and store fat at the same time. It must choose. And insulin makes that decision. This is why someone can be in a calorie deficit and still struggle to lose fat. Because if insulin remains high, the body prioritizes storage over burning. It slows metabolism, increases hunger, reduces energy, all to protect the fat it's being told to keep. This is not failure. This is biology. And over time, it becomes even more dangerous because repeated insulin spikes lead to a condition known as insulin resistance. This is where your cells stop responding properly to insulin. To So your body produces even more of it. Higher insulin, more fat storage, less fat burning, a vicious cycle that becomes harder to escape with time. And this is the pathway that leads to serious conditions like type 2 diabetes. But long before disease shows up, fat loss stops, energy crashes begin, cravings intensify, and you feel like you're fighting your own body because, in a way, you are. But here's where everything changes because if insulin is the problem, then controlling insulin is the solution. Not by starving yourself, not by punishing your body, but by working with your biology instead of against it. The first step is understanding what raises insulin the most. Carbohydrates, especially refined and liquid carbs, create the biggest spikes. Sugary drinks, processed foods, frequent snacking. These keep insulin elevated all day long. So the solution begins with removing those triggers, replacing them with foods that keep insulin stable. Protein, healthy fats, whole unprocessed foods. These create a much smaller insulin response. They nourish your body without overwhelming it. They allow insulin to rise and then fall. And that drop is where fat burning begins because when insulin falls low enough, your body has no choice. It must access stored fat for energy. This is the metabolic shift people are searching for. And it doesn't come from eating less, it comes from eating differently. Now let's go deeper. One of the most powerful tools to lower insulin is not eating at all, fasting. When you stop eating, insulin drops naturally, your body finishes processing stored glucose, and then it turns to fat. This is not extreme. This is how your body was designed to function. For thousands of years, humans lived in cycles of feeding and fasting, but today we eat constantly, and that constant intake keeps insulin high, prevents fat burning, and disrupts metabolic flexibility. But when you introduce periods of fasting, even something simple like 12 to 16 hours, you give your body time to reset, time to lower insulin, time to burn fat, and something incredible begins to happen. Hunger stabilizes, energy becomes steady, mental clarity improves because your body is no longer dependent on constant sugar intake. It becomes efficient, flexible, resilient. This is metabolic health. And it changes everything because now fat loss is no longer a struggle. It becomes a natural outcome of a healthy system. But this doesn't happen overnight. It requires consistency, awareness, and a willingness to challenge what you've been told. Because the truth is, you don't need to suffer to lose fat. You don't need to starve. You don't need to spend hours on a treadmill. You need to control insulin because when insulin is controlled, hunger decreases, cravings fade, energy rises, and your body finally gets access to the fuel it's been storing all along, your fat. This is why some people seem to lose weight effortlessly. It's not luck, it's not genetics, it's hormonal alignment. Their body is in a state where fat burning is allowed, and yours can be too, but it starts with a simple shift. Stop asking, how many calories is this? Start asking, what is this doing to my insulin? Because that one question has the power to transform your entire body. And once you understand it, once you apply it, you'll realize something powerful. Fat loss was never about eating less. It was about unlocking what was already there. And the key was insulin all along.